What is a mercenary?
A mercenary is someone who does things for money, professional soldier, right? So you're not really fighting for a flag or an ideal or a country, you're fighting for money. I think by definition, that's what a mercenary is.
Mm-hmm. What would you say personally for you? Maybe some of the stuff that definition might not necessarily cover.
I don't know, like a 1099 Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just file my taxes differently. Freelance.
So what do you think Hollywood gets wrong about mercenaries? You had an interesting expose in the book kind of about this, but
yeah, they have this. I mean, I'll speak to the personalities because I don't think this is common personality, but who am I to know? They have this death wish guy, or like the guy's wife and kid were killed in a car accident. He has nothing to live for, and he's like addicted to it, or all this like very romanticized, silent, brooding figure. And me, it was just a job, and it paid well. They also get a lot of things wrong where if you're really doing something standalone, not a trip, like non-sponsored by a big entity, you're not going to fly into a country and remove a false panel in your briefcase and there be ricin and anthrax and a pistol and a suppressor. Like, that's not how it works. You get wrapped up in customs, or whoever was trying to get that to you, and then it starts building trails back to someone sponsoring this action, and then there's a big fucking problem. Just stuff like that. Mm-hmm. More of the logistics behind it. That and the way that character is always portrayed.
Had you had an opportunity, your time with both the SEAL teams and everything, did you run across any Blackwater guys or any did you start seeing the rise there?
Oh yeah, they were all over the place in Iraq at 05, mm-hmm. and you could see them a mile away. Mm-hmm. Obviously Eric Prince is a genius when it comes to private militaries, but when I saw the guys there, I think it was right before everything went really crazy at Blackwater. Guys were rolling around with body armor and no shirts, all jacked with mohawks, and I was like, whoa! That's when it became its own weird subculture. I thought the idea of private military was really cool. I had met some guys that were ex-SEALs in Iraq, and dude, we're getting paid this much a day. If you want to get out, it's good money. And I'm like, fuck, man, that's fucking cool. So it was always appealing, and it was kind of in the back of my mind. Yeah, so I saw some of those guys in Iraq 05.
Would you guys ever cross paths or operate with them at all, or was it just kind of you saw them and it's hey, what's going on?
Yeah, we saw them rolling around. What
do you think about the rise of private contract military, especially recently?
I think it's a great tool that the government has, right? It's hey, this isn't a conflict that we can send troops to, but we have an interest there. Private company. Mm-hmm. Fill the gap.
Do you think, because we've seen it expand, and there's obviously been controversy. Blackwater is a great example, obviously, but in general, there's controversy around it. Do you think that we're going to continue to see it escalate, and it's going to become more and more of a pivotal part of a lot of these governments?
I think due to the nature of how war is progressing, I don't think the sending 30 dudes with the guns and the drones and the aircraft and just going and stopping targets for months on end, I think that kind of warfare is going away. And I think it's more going to be onesies and twosies and little secret things going on here and there. But I think the need for private military, independent contractor, mercenary, or whatever you want to call it, is still going to be there to have a footprint in some areas of interest that aren't quite demanding of a military presence.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about their use in places like Ukraine?
I think it's a great way to be not directly involved, but say you're helping. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know how they're being used and for what purpose. But if I was in a position of power and I needed to appease a lot of people at once, but didn't want to actively deploy a military unit, you can say you're helping one side by giving them private military guys, but not piss off their adversaries because you didn't send an actual military unit. So I think it's a tool that is used to stay in that gray area and kind of make everybody happy.
And do you think it's a really good tool because, I mean, it gives a lot of opportunity? You spoke about this as well. A lot of times when people are leaving the military and the transition, like there's a number of angles you can go, but a lot of times you don't want to just be working at a desk at JP Morgan. Say, let's do some finance or something, you know?
I think it's a tool, but it's a really big crutch. And then you start to paint yourself in a corner and all you're doing is delaying the transition process. You're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to get out. What do I do? And then you just go into that. You don't really transition. You don't really grow. And it's like, fuck, well, I hope that contract stays. It doesn't get rebid in 3 years. And I hope, you're still the big dog because more and more young guys are coming out that are more current than you or better than you. And you're going to have to transition eventually, right? It's good if you're like strapped for cash and you need a job and you're like, maybe you haven't gone to school or even if you did, nothing's interested in you. I think it's good, but at the same time, you need to realize what's happening, that you are delaying that transition process and you are kind of creating an environment to kind of put you in a stage of arrested development, of not growing past that. So as long as you have that awareness while you go into that directly out of the military, I think you'll be fine.
So let's start jumping into your experience. I mean, you were highlighting it right there, but, right off the bat, you're going to go protect some ships from some pirates. How did that feel going into that? And I guess what were your expectations? You kind of highlighted how the job actually went, but what were your expectations going there?
I thought we were going to be under attack every night, throwing down, running low on ammo, and there was a bunch of older ex-SEALs that didn't know how to put together their body armor. Some of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some rock star guys there, but I just happened, however the dice were rolled, I got put with these teams. I'm like, what the fuck? And then they're getting paid more than me or as much as me. And I'm like, it's hurting my ego. Like, how is this guy the team leader? He can't even fucking load his magazine with the bullets facing the right way. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? So it was like, boom, culture shock, and then boring. And I'm like, fuck, I need to find a way out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, going from, SEAL Team 6 as well, that had to be just a massive change in who's surrounding you there.
Humility check.
Yeah. So one of the parts you point out that's interesting too is a lot of times you guys almost act as barriers as well. I thought that was interesting with the pirates is they scout to see what boats actually have you guys.
Yeah, so it's a money thing. If they see people on the bridge, they're not going to mess with that ship, right? They see guys with guns on it. They're just scouting. And then for a while there, the shipping company said, well, no pirates are attacking. Why are we paying these security companies? Well, 3 months after that happened, pirates are looking, no one on the bridge. They start attacking again. And then, guess what? So it's back, forth.
So moving forward, you find another interesting opportunity, getting to work as a mercenary and going to Yemen of all places. How did that present itself, and what was your familiarity with the situation in Yemen at that point?
I got a call from someone I knew, and he's like, hey, we're doing some big things. Let's meet. I want to talk about it. Met with him. He couldn't answer enough of my questions, so I said, good luck. I'm not interested. Was still trying to work an angle to get on orders and get paid at SEAL Team 17. That was kind of up in the air. And then one day, the one thing I had really banked on happening at SEAL Team 17 didn't happen. And that guy who I had met had said, hey, my boss wants to meet you, the guy that's putting all this together. Would you be willing to meet him? And, with that thing falling through at SEAL Team 17 and getting that phone call again, I said, all right, let's do it. So I went up, Had a dinner, met, we felt each other out, asked questions. I asked questions, he asked questions. Finally came to an agreement, and we were set to leave the following week.